Hi, Angie. You look lovely today.
Thank you very much. I'm under siege by a Roomba, so if you hear some weird noises or see some shaking,
If it ain't Stella, it's the vacuum. You always got
mhm,
something moving around, threatening you.
it's adventure in my house. So I had an interesting situation happen this week, and I'll give a little bit of background, which is when I first started my business and I didn't really know what I was doing. I went to local Chamber of Commerce meetups a
Mm.
lot, and this was in Northern California. I met a lot of cool people there, a lot of people I'm friends with to this day. And earlier this week, one of those people randomly reached out to me. So someone contacted her and said, "Hey, I need a writer. I've got this rock and roll project I'm working on." And her head immediately went, "Talk to Angie." And that led to an adventure. So this was someone who, he had an idea and he was all excited and he reached out to me and he's like, "Tell me more about your services." And I'm like, "Hey, great. Sounds like you're excited. What's your product and who does it help? Can you tell me a little bit more about what you're working with?" And we went back and forth for probably like 6 or 7 emails like that, where he was like, "I've got this thing and it's great. Tell me more about your services." And I'd be like, "Hold up, please tell me about your product." If we talk about what I do, it's a little bit it's not really going to be helpful before we know what you're working with.
Right.
um, and finally I reached out to her and I was like, your bro ain't answering any of my questions, and I don't want to ruin our relationship because you referred him to me by being like, you're not ready for me. What do I do? And she goes, "Oh, he's not my friend." So the funny thing is, we both learned a lesson this week, and one was on her end for qualifying people that you refer. And I thought that this was a good lesson to share with the chiefs on the call. If you meet someone and they are in need of a referral, I think it looks good on you if you do a little bit of due diligence before you pass them on and see if they're even ready to talk to your friends, right? Because that just makes you look good if you send someone
Mm.
that's qualified.
Hmm.
And the second piece of this was, Kevin, you'll probably slap me around for this a little bit. The first time in my life that I ever said, I work with clients who are doing $1 million in revenue minimum, was this week when I was
Wow.
talking to that guy. And that was kind of a revelation to me that like I don't work with anybody that's doing that, uh, like below that, because they need to have that kind of volume, that kind of sales support, that kind of
Right.
process and proven offer. And it was funny because when I was talking to Lindsay, it brought up a lot of head trash in the past where we would automatically think as younger copywriters that, well, this guy's asking me a bunch of questions and I don't know what the answer
Right.
is. It must be something wrong with me. So that might not be the case, guys. So my lesson is this: if you are interviewing or talking to a prospective client and they're asking a bunch of questions and refusing to answer your questions, it's probably an indication that it's not a great fit, not that you don't know what you're talking about.
Mm.
So that is my
Man,
roundabout way of arriving at the lesson.
I love it. It's fantastic as always. It's a great one, Angie. And congratulations on being a $1 million minimum copywriter.
That was it. Still is kind of mind blowing to me, but most of you that look back at me are probably like, "What are you talking about, Angie?" Of course you are. So it's fun. The head trash, it's always there, no matter what level you're at.
It's always there, but it's better head trash, right?
hmm Better
I've
problems to
seen
have.
better problems over the last couple of years. The kind of head trash you deal with now is vastly different and more luxurious than the old head trash.
hmm And then the beauty of it is in a situation like this, where if you've built these safeguards in your business, your FU fund, if you're qualifying people well, and you don't have to say yes to somebody that is clearly driving you nuts just via email, then you're in a much better position with your business. So
Right.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Love it. Thank you, Angie. Great one. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
uh Man, how great is Angie Colee? So yeah, that's great. And you know what? It reminded me, because here's the thing, man. Yeah, we're afraid, I think, in the beginning to ask a client, how dare we qualify them to work with us, right? But that is such an important mind shift that Angie just pointed out. This idea that, look, I'm running a business here and I got some rules and some ways that I work best with people. And let's make sure we're a good fit both ways, man. That really changes the dynamic. And I know it's scary when you know inside that you really want this job and you don't want to put anything in the way of that. And, look, it may not happen in the first couple. Sometimes you just do what you got to do to get the first gigs, prove that model, get the thing going, and then you start to build some confidence, right? But when things started taking off for me was when I realized you gotta sell yourself, and when you work with the wrong kind of clients a little bit, you quickly realize what you don't want. And again, the important thing I was talking about in that sort of like between stage 2 and 3 is beginning to make choices about who you want in your life. And for Angie, and she knows from experience, right? She's had so many conversations in failed false starts and maybe failed projects with clients who are earning less than $1 million in revenue, that she knows that that's the marker. If they've gotten themselves over $1 million in revenue without good copy, holy smokes, how great is her work going to be for their business? She's going to be a godsend to them as an expert that they should be respecting and paying well. So think about how to qualify your prospects. And sometimes it's as easy as a number, asking them, tell me about this product. Tell me about the way you've been marketing. How much revenue monthly on average is your company making from this product? Where are we starting from right now? And when you ask those questions, people don't get offended and go, how dare you? Who are you to ask me that? You're making a business proposition. They've invited you into their business to help them improve their sales, right? And so these are valid questions you should be asking. And if they're uncomfortable answering or beating around the bush or hedging, then chances are it's not going to go well if they do become a client. The other great thing about having some back and forth before you get going, if they're stalling, taking forever to get to you, to get back to you, avoiding phone calls, missing phone calls with you, bad sign, red flag. You should not be chasing that person down. They don't qualify to work with you. So, all right.